Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Black, and I'm here to welcome you to a Kindergarten Readiness webinar. I hope you're all having a great evening. This webinar is being presented on February 21st at 5:45 p.m. And once it's complete, it will be archived and available for people to look at any time they might like. The only difference of looking at an archived version would be that you would not be able to chat live with me. However, one thing I realized that is missing from my PowerPoint is my contact information. So you can always chat live with me at 813-272-4959. So thank you for watching today. And I'm just going to take you through some basic understanding of kindergarten readiness, what it is, why it's important, and how you're probably doing a lot of the things already, and maybe I'll give you a couple of ideas and things that will help you do things a little bit better to help your child be successful and ready for kindergarten. So if you live in Hillsborough County, I'm hoping that you have seen or heard of Ready Freddy. And Ready Freddy is the cute frog that was on the front screen. And Ready Freddy is our mascot, and he is the embodiment of kindergarten readiness. He stands for the our desire to have everyone in Hillsborough County excited about kindergarten readiness, aware of what it is, and really trying to make a community push towards kindergarten readiness. So we've gotten out in the community and worked with private providers and private preschools and worked with our own public schools and to introduce Freddy, and just so that the kids have a cute face and somebody who's there to encourage them to be ready. We got the idea of Freddy from the University of Pittsburgh Office of Child Development. They trademarked Freddy. They drew him, created him, and made him something special. And we found him a year or so ago. And after we found him and started talking about him and using his image, the state of Florida thought he was pretty great too. And so now Ready Freddy is all around Florida, getting kids ready for kindergarten. So the first slide is just, what is kindergarten readiness? And most people think they know, and most people's answer would be, well, the kid needs to know math and reading, and he needs to know his letters and his numbers, and that's all important. And that is definitely part of the mix. But when we as educators look at a child, we try to look at the whole child. In this visual here, they call it the balanced child. Because you can know your letters and you can know your numbers, but if you're not able to play with other children, or you're not able to follow directions from adults, or you're not able to hold a pencil, you're going to struggle in kindergarten. And so we want parents to be looking at their children holistically and looking at the different elements of child development. So in the bottom right-hand corner is cognitive, and that's the one we mostly hear people talking about, because that is letters, numbers, reading, writing, the things that you think of almost like as subject areas in school. But one of the really critical things is the one right above it, social, because kids need to be able to get along in a group. They need to be able to line up without pushing. They need to be able to share things at work. They need to be at school. They need to be able to have lunch without altercations. Just getting along with other kids is an incredibly important skill. So you often hear social emotional together, and emotional is more their sense of well-being, their sense of self-control, their ability to avoid a meltdown. So if you have a child that has a lot of discomfort in doing new things and they shut down, they're fearful, those are the emotional things that we want to work on. And it's pretty easy to work on that in terms of getting them exposed to things. And that's what a lot of this presentation is about, how to expose children to opportunities around them that don't cost anything, that will help build that emotional stability. And then the last one is physical, and that one is divided into two different types of physical. There's the gross motor, which is the things that where you use your big muscles, running, jumping, hanging on the monkey bars. But the small motor skills is one of the things that teachers often say kids come in without. And that's something that you can practice easily at home at no expense, but it's the ability to hold pencil or markers, to use tweezers. If you have tweezers around the house, having them pick up cotton balls or pennies or something small. Using your fingers to button your clothes is a small motor skill. And cutting with scissors. It's really kind of fun to walk into a kindergarten room on the first day of school and watch them do some cutting, because it can be a real challenge for kids. So start now, give your children a pair of safety scissors and see how they do. If they need more practice, let them practice. So this might sound like a silly question, but why is it important? Well, it might be more important than you know, because children that come to school and score on our little screeners at the beginning of the year as ready to read, those children are actually 3 times more likely to graduate on time than are those that are not ready. And that's you want to be in that group. You want to be the ones likely to graduate on time. The kids that struggle early tend to struggle throughout school. So the faster you get on track, the better things will be for the whole school experience. So kindergarten is the foundation of their educational experience, and their success or failure in kindergarten, if they have a good experience or a negative one, that can impact them for the rest of their school life. Because we want them to start out thinking school is fun, school is helpful, school is where their friends are, school is where their teachers respect them and love them, and it's a place to learn and they want to learn. So the kids that feel those things are usually the kids that are more ready because they're more comfortable. Now, kids can come in without knowing their letters and sounds, but if they're comfortable there and they like their friends and they like their teacher, they're going to do just fine. The achievement gaps present in grades 1 through 3 can actually be detected as early as 18 months. Some of these gaps start showing up early. So you want to keep an eye out for them, and I'm going to tell you how on another slide later. So beyond the skills means beyond just letters and numbers, because a lot of us have flashcards or point things out on cereal boxes, and that's wonderful, and everyone should do that. But beyond that, children just have to be ready for what life throws at them. They have to be ready for a change in place, expectations, adjustments to new kids and a new group of people, a new authority figure. That can be a tough one if they're not used to taking direction from other adults, and their new role as a student, because some of them haven't had any kind of expectations to sit and listen in a group. So how can you help with a change in place? Well, it's as simple as just providing them opportunities to go places like the library or the museum or church or parks, having them even just spend time at a friend's house, anything that's not their just home environment with you. Not that that's not the best place in the world to be, but if they get used to going different places, they will be able to make that adjustment into a brand new kindergarten classroom more easily. Make arrangements, if you can, to bring the child to the school the child will attend kindergarten, so that they see it in advance, so that it's not this mystery looming in their head that they're fearful of. If they see what it is, they might be a lot more comfortable when they do arrive on the first day. Then how can you help with a change in expectations? Well, as the children get older, they can do more things. So things that you ask them to do around the house, age-appropriate tasks, should be changing as they get older and get more complex. So create a job, this is just a suggestion, you don't need to do it, but creating a job chart to have them be accountable for some of the things that they do. Have a chart and have a little box there for them to check it off when they get done. That's the kind of thing they will be doing in school. And also stamina. Some kids have very, very short attention spans, and that's completely normal. But what we want to do is get them to be able to spend a little more time on task as they get older. So if you give a child a book and he looks at it for maybe 1 minute at the most and then throws it on the floor, we want to work on that. We want to have the child practice looking at books and maybe try to build up to 5 minutes and then go on from there. We also want children to be able to follow directions. So start with a simple direction and then move into 2 and 3-step directions. You might want to say, for instance, fold the clothes and put them in the dresser. That would be a 2-step. Or pick up your toys, put your clothes away, and then meet me at the kitchen table. That would be a 3-step direction. That way you know that they're holding information in their head and they're able to process what you've asked them to do. So they're retaining information, processing information, and then following through with action. How can you help with adjusting to a new peer group? Well, this is as simple as opportunities to play with kids, different kids, as many kids as they can. If they already attend a preschool, they're really getting this experience on a daily basis. But sometimes it's fun to mix it up and meet other children by going to a park or a museum or a church. Adjusting to that new authority figure just means taking direction from a new adult. And again, if they're in a preschool environment, they're probably already working on that on a daily basis. And if that adult is absent, they might have a substitute. So they're getting a lot of exposure to that. But if your child is not in a preschool, this is something that you would want to try to make sure your child has an experience with. And it's the same kind of idea. If you have a babysitter come from time to time, or take them to the library, or even at the mall. They have the playgrounds at the mall where kids all interact with other kids that they've never met before. And that's all really, really good experience for them. So how can you prepare the child for being a student? Well, being a student is a lot different than just free play all day long, doing what you want to do at the home or at some of the daycares that don't have as much rigor involved in their day. The kindergartners, we try to do developmentally appropriate activities all day long, and it certainly should not be a drill and kill experience, but it is more systematic way of behaving, and they do have a place to be. They have a desk, they have items that are theirs, they have things that belong to the class. They need to learn to share, they need to be able to handle books. So the first bullet on this slide talks about books and what to do with them. And a lot of parents get children books and they might read them to them, but they really don't talk about books. And one of the things I want to encourage parents to do is to show them the parts of a book. Show them the front, the back, the cover, the title, the author. Talk to them about the pictures and the words, because the kids are looking at the pictures quite often in their early years, and that's what they think the story is. But you want to point out to them that actually the story is being told with the words. So have your child practice looking at the book and learning that the words go from left to right. We call those concepts of print. You can call them whatever you like, but they're just aspects of a book that will help them be more prepared for kindergarten. We also want children to learn to write as best as they can before they come. Just be familiar with a pencil. Some of the kids are only able to write squiggles and X's and O's, and writing letters is not where they are developmentally. Please don't pressure your child to do something for which they are not ready to do. But they do need access to paper and pencil and markers and have the opportunity, because it will come. But it won't come if they don't have those things. If they don't have a chance to even try, it will be very difficult for them. When you're in the car, play rhyming games. I was trying to think of a rhyming game, but just it doesn't even have to be an official game, but you just start practicing rhyming by saying, I'm thinking of the word ring, and tell me a word that rhymes with ring. It's something I do in the shower. Well, I hope you all figured that one out. It's I sing. So sing and ring match. So you can just play little games using rhyming words. And then you can do I spy games with letter sounds. When you're at a stoplight, you could say, I'm looking at a color and it starts with the letter R. And they would hopefully find that it was red. Just using the world around you, environmental print, to play with letters and sounds. Again, participate in group activities when possible. And then one idea is to have the child keep a journal. You can get a journal in the dollar store for $1. And if the child each day sits with you and recaps his day or talks about his favorite event or something that he would like to do, he could just draw a picture, he or she could draw a picture, and then you could add the words to what they say that their story is about. So just getting used to doing school-like things in a home environment would be very helpful to be ready for kindergarten. So it's really as simple as this. It's all about exposure. Exposure to books and printed material. It's great for them to see you read. If you read, they're going to want to read. Exposure to conversations. We're going to talk about that a little bit in a minute. Just talking to children, talking to them, with them, and listening to them. Exposure to writing materials, exposure to other children and adults, exposure to locations. That really helps them get comfortable in all kinds of environments. Exposure to caring adults, and exposure to small motor activities. Again, that was buttoning, cutting, tweezers, things that sort of you think of with hand dexterity. So back to books and printed material and the concepts of print. We talked about the words tell the story, that we read from left to right. You want to point at the words one at a time as you read them so that they understand that each word on the page is a spoken word. You could talk about the cover of the book. You can talk about what they think the book is going to be about, just given the picture. And the big question, why? Why do you think that? That's a tough one for kids, that why question. But if you ask it enough times, they'll get used to it and they'll start to answer it. Take time to review these concepts every time you read a book. Now, don't make every book reading session into a lesson. I don't mean that. But just make sure your children are familiar with these concepts. You want to make sure that kids have books. If possible, we want to build student libraries or children's libraries so that they own their own books. You can get free books at the library to borrow, and you can get almost free books at garage sales or thrift stores. Owning their own book and putting their name inside of it and knowing that that belongs to them and that they can just pick that up anytime will build a love of reading more than anything. So in the picture on this slide, if that looks familiar, whether it's your family or other families you see when you're out, I know that looks very familiar to me. And I'm sad to say I see it everywhere I go. I'll be in restaurants and there will be two couples sitting there. Maybe there's a child, maybe there's not. And they're all on their cell phones. And it makes you wonder why they bothered to go out together. People are more and more reliant on phones and tablets to entertain them. And this is causing a real crisis because children learn their vocabulary. They learn to talk by talking and talking to other people, not talking into devices and texting. They need that experience of a conversation. So we need to try to put down our devices, and I'm as guilty as anybody of loving my devices. But when we're with kids, our time should be with them. And those vocabulary that they develop, it comes from practice. Practice listening, practice hearing lots and lots of words, and then letting them talk. Sometimes parents talk at the children and don't really give them a chance to fully get out their side of the story because it takes a long time for the child to articulate their thoughts. But as best as you can, give them all the chances you can to talk because that will get them ready. And kids that come to kindergarten with large vocabularies very often end up reading and writing much more quickly. So I've said this before, but all of these things are worth saying a second time because having a chance to write, a lot of kids come in maybe physically fit, but they really haven't got that small muscle dexterity and that will allow them to pick up a pencil and write because one of the first things teachers ask us to do is put our name on the paper. Now, our kindergarten teachers know that a lot of kids are not able to do that right away. But for those that are able, that is what they do on their paper. The teacher writes the name for those who can't. But you want your child to be one that can, if it's possible. Again, some children are not developmentally ready to do that skill. But if they are, please encourage it and help them practice. these are the small motor skills. This is more of a graphic of a skill. Stringing beads. That can be, I know I can't string a needle anymore. I can't see it anymore. But this is one of the most overlooked readiness skills. So find things around the house that do require small motor skills, and teaching them to tie their shoes, or zipping, buttoning, cutting it with scissors, Legos, all of those types of things. Even just working with puzzles is a great practice for this. So now I'm going to try to do something tricky here. I'm going to try to show you on the computer how to get to the Florida Early Learning and Developmental Standards. And this is a document that was created and put out in 2017 by the state of Florida for appropriate level of skills for what children should know at different ages in the 8 different area domains. So I'm going to show you how to get there. Okay, I am going to drag my screen over, I think, and I'm going to make it big. And I'm going to show you my screen. Oh, too many things on the screen. Don't look, don't look, don't look. Okay. If you go to the Office of Early Learning, and the website that I would like you to go to, if you have a pencil, you might want to jot it down, but you also can just Google Florida Early Learning and Developmental Standards, and you will get here. But it is flbt5.floridaearlylearning.com. It'll take you to this page, and if you scroll down, it will show you the 8 domains that the document I'm about to show you covers. And it's really cool because it takes all of the 8 domains and it breaks it up by age so that you can see if your child is right on target in that area and acting appropriately, or if they're struggling, or if they're far exceeding. The areas that are in the document are physical development, approaches to learning, which really means things like enthusiasm for books, or are able to be persistent at a task. It's how the children approach learning. Social and emotional development, we talked about that earlier. Language and literacy, really reading and writing. Mathematical thinking, scientific inquiry, social studies, and creative arts. So I'm going to show you this picture because these are the ages. So for each of those 8 domains, we're going to look at what's appropriate if you've got a birth to an 8-month-old, what's appropriate for an 18 to 24-month-old, what's appropriate at 3 and 4, and what should your child really be able to do at 4 years old. So it gives you an idea of different things that your child should be able to do. You might see something in there that you never even thought of, and it'll give you an idea for something to work on. So this document here, I'm circling it, the one on the left, is the book of the Florida Early Learning Developmental Standards, Birth to Kindergarten. I'm going to take you in, and I'm going to flip to page 16. I should be showing you kind of what it's like all the way along. So here's approaches to learning. A baby would be showing awareness and interest in the environment, whereas a 4-year-old would actually be showing curiosity and eager to have new experiences. And that's what we want. But the one I thought was kind of easy to explain is on page 16. I'm almost there. Okay. So we were talking about conversations. And so this is a really cool document because it shows at the far left is birth. Let me get the top. Yeah, there we go. So the far left is just up to 8 months. And on the far side, you've got the 4-year-olds. And if you look at the benchmark right about in the middle, it says for an 8 to 18-month-old, they produce words of which approximately half are nouns. So what they're saying is children under 18 months, 8 to 18, they pretty much are looking around and trying to name things. They're trying to see different objects and name them. But by the time you get to a 2 to 3-year-old, they're actually adding ing to words like going, playing. It's not I go potty. Now I'm going to the other room. So they're adding that ing. They know about the possessive to add an s on a word. But then by the time you get to the far right, where it says benchmark B for that same domain, it says uses regular and irregular plurals. Well, that means something like a book, one book, lots of books. That's just a regular plural because all you did was tack an S on the end. But they know that that's not how you say it if it's a mouse. They know that more than one mouse isn't mouses. They know it's mice. So now that their vocabulary is really picking up by 4 years old. So this document, I don't want to go through it because that's a whole 5-hour training by itself. However, I want you to be able to find this document, access it, just so you can keep a track of whether your child is doing what it is that we hope that they'll do to be ready for kindergarten. So now I'm going to try to get back. Okay. Stop sharing. I'm hoping I'm getting there. Okay. I'm not an expert yet on this program. And now I've got to get back to my PowerPoint. Oh, that is my PowerPoint. The web page, because that's what it was. Okay. So I showed you that. Here's a picture of the cover of that document and a sample page. And again, there's the website. And also, again, you can just plain Google Florida Early Learning. Even if you drop the word developmental, if you remember Florida Early Learning Standards, you will find it on the Office of Early Learning website. So reading is really so critical. And probably one of the best things that you can do is go online and register for an account at readonmyon.com. Hillsborough County Public Schools, in conjunction with the Early Learning Coalition and with the a lot of big United Way, a lot of the big groups in town have all partnered and contributed so that this library could be available to every child in Hillsborough County. So if you live in Hillsborough County, you can go to Read on Myon and get a free account, and now you have an online library, and it does amazing things. This library, you can search for books for your child. The library will read the book to you, or you can turn that feature off and you can read the book to your child, or your child can read the book to you. It has all kinds of features. So I urge you to check out Myon by going to readonmyon.com. And then the second bullet here is a state-supported application. It's an app. I guess maybe they don't use that word application. It's an app, Vroom, and you sign up for that, and that's completely free thanks to the state of Florida. And that will, you will tell that when you sign up, it'll ask you how old your child is, and you'll sign up, and you'll get an account, and they will send you daily activities, little short activities, but that are developmentally appropriate for a child of that age. So that's a really cool thing. It's very specific to you and your child. And then the last four are all practice. They're fun games that teach educational content. Starfall, ABC Mouse, PBS Kids, and Jumpstart. They all have very fun activities where the children think they're playing, but they're actually learning. So I told you about that document and what your child should be able to, it'll show you what your child should be able to do. Well, not every child can do those things. And not always is that really a problem or a concern. But if you have any concerns about your child's physical development, there is a place where you can get a free screening. And I wanted to give you that if you go to our school district web page and then search for FDLRS. I'm going to, it's right here, see, type in FDLRS. I'm going to try to share my screen I'm not sure, I think I might have lost my, here. I'm going to show you how to get there real quick. Because if you would like to take part in one of these free screenings, Okay, I'm having a little trouble. Okay, maybe I won't show you that. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Accidental clicking and knocked myself right on out, but it looks like you guys are hanging in there and I appreciate it very much. I wanted to go on and I'm not going to do it because I wasn't successful the first time. But what I wanted you to know that if you go to the district website and type in FDLRS, it will take you to a website. And if you look at this picture here, this is where you will go. And right in the middle of that page, it's kind of small on your screen, right in the middle of the black lines, it says Child Find. Click on Child Find, and it will give you a schedule of when and where these free developmental screenings are. If you can't remember that or anything, I'm going to give you my telephone number one more time because I want you to be able to have this wonderful resource. And my phone number again was 813-272-4959. So what does Hillsborough County Schools offer? Well, we have 3 different programs that offer pre-K. And one of the things, people always use the VPK and pre-K interchangeably, and they're really not the same thing. And I just wanted to take a minute to clarify that pre-K is like a grade level. It's the grade before K. That's what the name pre-K is. But lots of people offer pre-K. Lots of private providers offer pre-K. Public schools offer pre-K. But some of those pre-Ks might be Head Start. And Head Start is a federally funded program, but you do have to qualify for it. Eligibility for that program is based on age and income. And the children are 3 and 4 years old. They give priority to 4 years of age, but they also do accept some 3-year-olds. So Head Start is a wonderful full-day program, totally free because it's federally funded, but you do have to qualify with an income. Now, we have also pre-K ESE, pre-K Exceptional Student Education, which we call PEEPS. And PEEPS is a real cute name, and I always have trouble because it's so long. It stands for Primary Early Exceptional Preschool Services. So these are little ones that have IEPs, individual education plans, and they have special needs. So those children qualify not on income, but on having a special need. Then we have the VPK program, which we have that at 77 of our elementary schools. And we have a special model where nine of the children in the classroom are VPK, and 8 of the children in the classroom are peepers. They are children with special needs. So it's a blended classroom. So VPK is a pre-K program, and for that, you simply have to live in Florida and have a child that the child has to have turned 4 on or before September 1. And that's a critical date because that's the cutoff for VPK. You've got to be 4 by September 1. That's the cutoff for kindergarten. Got to be 5 by September 1. And for first grade, you have to be 6 by September 1. So that's kind of a line in the sand. It's in Florida statute. That's not a Hillsborough rule. That's a state rule. So if you go to our school district website and you search for Bold Beginnings is our name for our early childhood programs and initiatives. So that will give you information on all of those programs. And I'm not going to talk much about this for this purpose, but I do want you to be aware that children are tested when they first come into kindergarten. During the first 30 days, every child in the state of Florida in a public school does have a test, and right now the test that they're using is called STAR Early Literacy, and it's an online test, and the children have been doing very well with using the computer, and that has not been as big of a problem as a lot of people worried about. There's a link there, but it's kind of a lengthy link. But if you search on Google for STAR Early Literacy, you'll be able to find more information about that readiness test. So I want to sum up by saying that really that there are the two most important things you can do without even leaving your home, and that's read, read, read to and with your child. Let them read to you, even if the words they're reading aren't exactly what's in the book. And then I want you to talk and listen to your child, conversations, build that vocabulary that's so important. That way they will feel confident communicating with you, communicating with their teacher, communicating with their friend, and that is such an important thing. So this is my concluding slide, and I wanted to sum it all up in a cute recipe for readiness. So if you simply follow these rules from birth to 5, and you get a half a cup of exposure to text and all sorts, books, magazines, business signs, traffic signs, food containers, then grab 3 tablespoons of daily conversation, that's talking and listening, get 1 10-ounce package of writing opportunities, that would be paper, pencil, and crayons, get 1 dollop of exposure to other children and other adults, add 1 teaspoon of practice with letters, letter sounds, and numbers, and 1 pinch of small motor coordination, practicing with tweezers, scissors, stringing beads, and puzzles. And what I want you to do is mix all of the ingredients carefully together and sprinkle your child liberally with this mixture daily. And with that, I say thank you. Are you ready, Freddy? And I hope all of our children are ready for kindergarten. Please do call me if you have any questions whatsoever. I'll stay on for just another minute if there are questions. I see that Brad posted my telephone number, which was great. Thank you, Brad. Well, with that, I say good evening.
So, Lisa, just in case you're still there, there was one question about what is the link to the archived website?